We'll call to order the Board of Zoning and Appeals. Let us stand for the pledge. Joe, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Linda Dansby.
Present.
Joe Machado. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Tony Webb. Zane Cantrell.
Present.
Sir, we do have a quorum. In the absence of Mr. Webb, Joe Crowell is the alternate.
You have a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. It was not mailed out to us, but I hope you've had time to review it. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion that be approved as presented.
I have a motion to be approved. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Have a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. They are approved. We have a lengthy agenda, and let me kind of explain to you how we will proceed with this. We'll ask our staff to give us a report on each item that will come before us. And then after that, those of you who are making a proposal, we'd like for you to come to the podium here and give any additional information or answer any questions that the board might have of you. At the end of that, we will have a public hearing for those of you who would like to speak either for or against or ask a few questions about the proposal. The first item of business is a request by Kevin Beck, who is requesting a conditional use permit to establish a seasonal haunted woods and corn maze.
Application 2010-10, filed by Kevin Buck, involves property owned by Kenneth and Janet Harris and Charles R. Farrer Partnership. This is the property located at 305 Double Springs Road and 3815 John Bragg Highway. The total lot area is 18.9 acres. It involves 2 parcels. The application requests temporary conditional use approval for a seasonal haunted woods and corn maze, and variance relief from the development standard requiring a double bituminous parking area in the R15 zone. This is a temporary use that will the event will only operate in the month of October, and all access to the property will be located off John Bragg Highway and not off of Double Springs Road. They estimate about 25 people will be working the event. There will always be a person directing traffic entering and exiting John Bragg Highway. They will only operate Fridays and Saturdays, 7 to midnight, and Saturdays 12 to 5 for kids. And they propose to install a 3x10 sign to advertise the use for the duration of the use. They are not proposing any permanent structures, and they are also asking a variance for relief of the requirement that they have to pave the parking areas. Because the use is temporary, that is unique because this is a R15 zone, and staff finds that it does meet the conditions for variance relief for the paved parking areas. They have indicated that there are 2 fire hydrants within 1,000 feet of the proposed use, and that they plan to provide 2 temporary bathroom facilities to accommodate customers. Staff finds that it meets the criteria for conditional use and has recommended conditions for the board to consider. And I'll just go through the photos of the site. This is the area in question. It's 18 acres, 2 parcels. And just photos of the area. It's a 4-lane divided arterial highway, so it's not causing intense traffic through a residential neighborhood. Surrounding land uses are agricultural, and there's a nursery across the street. That concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Do you have any further information you want to share on this?
I don't think so.
If this is not the first year that you all have had this, is that correct?
This actually is the first year.
This will be the first year,
Yes.
okay?
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Kevin Buck at 412 Double Springs Road.
And the maize field will be back off of the highway, is that
That is correct.
okay? Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. You know, this is on top of flat rock, so how are you going to get corn to grow?
How am I going to get corn to grow? I'm hoping, I'm hoping that that land hasn't been developed for corn in a long time. The corn itself may actually be developed in just certain areas that are able to. It won't be the whole thing. There's partial, you know, partial maize through the woods with just corn areas.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Make a motion, we approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Have a second. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Yes.
Joe Crowell.
Yes.
Linda Dansby.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by James and Lori Gibson, who is requesting a permit to allow a temporary sale of fireworks.
Application 2010-11 filed by James and Lori Gibson involves the property owned by Shane Fogel located at 6155 Highway 99. And it's a 2.24 acre site that's zone services. The Gibsons have been before the board for several years with the same request for a temporary fireworks stand. There are no conditions changing, same number of employees, hours of operation, days, and the duration of the event are all still the same, the size of the tent. They plan to erect signs to advertise the temporary fireworks stand. And because of the use being temporary, staff does not anticipate long-term adverse effects. There are 2 fire hydrants located within 500 feet of the proposed tent site. Access to the site is provided off of Highway 99. Staff finds that it meets the conditions for criteria for a temporary conditional use permit and recommends approval. And I'll just go over some of the photos of the site. That is the location of the fireworks stand, the property highlighted in blue. They will be using existing access off of Highway 99. The adjacent properties under development as a Dollar General store and surrounding properties. That concludes staff's recommendation.
Do we have someone here representing this request? Fireworks. If you'll just state your name and any additional information.
James Gibson. And she got it all covered.
Just state your name for the record.
James Gibson.
Okay. James, What are the dates that you will be in operation this year?
I believe it's the 22nd to the 5th this year,
Okay,
and then we usually close at 11 o'clock.
okay. Questions?
Mr. Gibson, you've had a fireworks stand before?
Yes,
At this
sir.
location, okay. So you're
We've
familiar
been-
with it?
Either 3 or 4 years.
All right, so thank you.
Any other question? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We'll have a motion on it.
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? Keith? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Jerry Sartain? Zane Cantrell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Surefire Fireworks is requesting a temporary sale of fireworks.
Application 2010-12, filed by Surefire Fireworks, involves the property owned by Jafar Nazem. The property is located at 6044 Lebanon Pike. It's a 1.6 acre parcel, zone retail and wholesale, and they are seeking conditional use approval for the temporary sale of fireworks. And this is another application that the board has seen from this particular applicant at the same location. None of the site conditions have changed. The existing site is used as a convenience gas store, and staff finds that it meets the criteria for a temporary conditional use permit. Access is provided off of Jefferson Pike in Lebanon, and we recommend approval subject to the conditions, and these are photos of the surrounding area. And nothing has changed. The applicant supplied us with a site plan. That's the site plan of the property, and that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Give us your name and what is the date of your operation?
My name's Tammy Walpole, and it's from June 20th through July 5th.
Okay. Any questions from the board? No problems so far, right?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Have a motion on it.
I move for approval.
Have a motion to be approved. Got a second? Call the roll.
Keith Bratcher?
Yes.
Joe Crowell?
Yes.
Linda Dansby?
Yes.
Jerry Sartain?
Yes.
Zane Cantrell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Richard Epps, who is requesting a additional accessory structure.
Application 2010-13, filed by Richard Epps, involves the property located at 7402 Chadwick Drive. It's a 1.1 acre parcel. He's seeking variance relief to allow an additional 687 square feet of accessory structure area for a total of 2,487 square feet in the R15 zone. Our zoning code allows properties between 1 and 4.99 acres to have 1,800 square feet of accessory structure area. The applicant has demolished a detached garage on the property and would like to reconstruct a detached garage to provide additional storage for boats and vehicles. Because there is an existing above-ground pool that totals 1,335 square feet, that the pool and the decking that surrounds it, the construction of the new garage will cause the applicant to exceed that 1,800 square foot limitation by 687 square feet. Despite the fact that it will continue to meet the setback regulations and lot coverage requirements of R15, this is a self-created condition, and staff recommends denial because it does not meet the criteria for variance approval. However, we want to draw your attention to the section 805 of our zoning resolution that speaks to the adequate supply of light and air and impairment to adjacent properties. when making your decision. And these are photos of the property. This is an aerial shot. It's a residential lot located at the end of a cul-de-sac. There are agricultural parcels to one side, and the other parcels around it are developed as residential homes. This is the existing driveway, and the garage will be constructed alongside the house. And that was the location of the garage that had been demolished. And behind that temporary tent is the pool that is causing the applicant to trigger the threshold of maximum square footage, hence why he is here. And surrounding properties. And this is just a rough layout showing the location of the pool and then the location of the proposed building. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask staff, have you had any comments or calls from the neighbors regarding any adverse effects?
No, I have not.
Thank you.
Name is Richard Epps, live at 7402 Chadwick Drive. I'm expanding the garage that originally was there from 25 by 30 to 32 by 36. I was not aware that the swimming pool would have counted as my square foot allowance. I've heard that. So I'm just, what I need. And I thank you and you for being perfect at that.
Do we have any questions? No questions. Thank you.
Oh, I also have from everybody in the neighborhood sign saying that.
Yeah, just pass that to our secretary. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve since there's been no adverse impact indicated.
Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Got a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Linda Dansby,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion
It is
carries.
approved. The next item we have is a request by Beth Harrell, Harrell Signs and Graphics, and this is a request seeking a variance for an 80 square foot ground sign.
Application 2010-14 filed by Beth Harrell with Harrell Signs and Graphics involves the property owned by Montgomery Turner. It's a 1.93 acre parcel that's being developed as a Dollar General and 3 additional retail units. The subject property is located at 6121 Highway 99. It's zone services. They are seeking variance approval to allow an 80 square foot sign in the services zone. This is an additional 30 square feet than the 50 that is allowed. The applicant is also seeking approval to increase the height of the sign to 14 feet. They will be adding a 2-foot berm that will elevate the sign by 2 feet. Our zoning definition requires us to count that elevated portion of the property in the calculation of the sign's height. The site had been approved to be constructed as a Dollar General. The site plan was approved in March 2010. And because our zoning code lacks language that specifically addresses commercial buildings that have multiple units in it, we don't have adequate language that addresses the allowance of one sign to advertise all of the units. In fact, each unit would be entitled to a freestanding ground sign under the current provision. So based on that, the unique conditions of the property being that we don't have a lot of commercial properties that are developed with multiple units within the unincorporated areas of the county, we find that those are unique conditions, and staff recommends approval of the variance request. And these are pictures of the site. It's under construction. They didn't waste any time. Just as discussed in a pre-meeting, we have spoken with the applicant. They have agreed to relocate the sign to an area that will comply with the setbacks from the right-of-way and a requirement that, or prohibition that no sign can be located within a drainage easement. So they have agreed to relocate the sign to an area that's inward in a landscape island that's proposed and been approved. And that's indicated on the site plan.
Do you have a measurement on that? How far back from the right-of-way yet?
Well, the easement's 20 feet.
Okay.
The setback is 15 feet from the right-of-way, but the easement exceeds that setback. So they can place the sign as long as it's 20 feet back.
Okay.
And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing the sign company, please?
Beth Harrell from Harrell Signs and Graphics. As Danielle stated, we do want this one sign to advertise for the 4 businesses. Dollar General is allowed at 32 square feet, and each individual unit is 16 square feet. So we don't feel like that's we feel like that's a modest amount, but sufficient to advertise for these businesses. So we respectfully ask that you allow for the increase in this sign size.
Any questions? None? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is this going to be 80 square feet total or 100 square feet total?
It's 80 square foot total.
That's great.
That's
Okay.
that's
Thank
what
you.
we have down is 80
The
square.
diagram
Yeah,
shows,
the original diagram.
10 by 10, so.
I brought in the wrong
Okay.
diagram.
Thank you.
But it is 80 square.
It's 80 square feet.
Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do you have a motion on it?
I'll make a motion to be approved.
Have a motion to be approved. Got a second? Got a second? Call the roll.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell, Linda Dansby, Jerry Sartain, Zane Cantrell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
is approved. The next item we have is a request by Stacy Broadstreet, and this is to establish a conditional use to establish a dance studio.
Okay. Application 2010-15, filed by Stacy Broadstreet, involves property owned by Jerry Alsop. The property is located at 6867 Lebanon Road. It's a .8 acre parcel, and it's zoned retail and wholesale trade. They are seeking conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a dance studio in the retail and wholesale trade zone. The applicant has included, and staff has reported, the hours of operation, the number of employees, and the programs that they anticipate having associated with the use. As you will see, in 1964 and since 1964, multiple applications have been filed approving a variety of uses on the property. However, it failed to mention dance studio, and so the applicant is in here asking to establish a dance studio in an already existing building that has sufficient parking, water supply and sewage is already located at the site or provided to the site. Multiple fire hydrants are located within 1,000 feet of the property. Staff finds that it meets the criteria for conditional use approval, and we'll just go real quickly through the photos. The aerial of the site, we posted the sign. The studio will be located in this 2,000 square foot building and surrounding properties. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, do we have someone here representing the dance studio? Going to give us a sample of the dance?
My name is Stacy Broadstreet of Dance with Stacy, and we are really excited about the prospects of being in this location and would love to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Keith, do you know how to dance? No? No questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it. Have a motion to be approved. We have a second. Got a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Yes.
Joe Crowell.
Yes.
Linda Dansby.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Thane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
It is approved. Next item is a request by Bradley Plumbing, who is asking for a conditional use permit to establish a plumbing business.
Application 2010-16, filed by Bradley Plumbing, involves property owned by Bradley Raylis. Involves the property located at 1601 Flat Rock Road. It's a .68 acre parcel. They are seeking conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a plumbing business in the services zone. And they are also seeking variance relief from the development standard requiring a fire hydrant to be located within 1,000 feet of a proposed development. The existing building they plan to establish the plumbing business in will be used as an office and storage area to support a plumbing business. He has 5 employees that actually use their trucks to go back and forth to the office and to home, so there will be no overnight storage of business vehicles. They don't expect customer traffic. However, the applicant has indicated that in the future they would like to possibly add an additional structure for storage. That being said, that would trigger the development requirement to go through site plan review and also to provide a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet. And the applicant, looking ahead, is seeking variance approval for that possible addition in the future. So he would like to be given a variance for the fire hydrant requirement. In 1997, the site was approved for the establishment of a beauty shop. A beauty shop has been in that structure, but is no longer established in it. This is the aerial shot of the property. You can see the sign advertising the business that's no longer in existence there, along with our zoning sign. Surrounding properties. The site itself has adequate parking. It's paved. It has 2 entrances off of flat rock, so site circulation is fairly nice for the size lot. That is the structure that the business will take place inside. One of the conditions of the original zoning application was that it resemble a residential structure. Well, they accomplished that. So this is the commercial property. This is the rear of the property that the addition might be constructed in the future that would trigger the need to provide a fire hydrant. So we've broken this application down into 2 requests, and if the board so desires, you can vote in 2 separate motions. Staff finds that as far as the conditional use is concerned, it does meet the criteria. However, we did speak with Consolidated Utility, and they indicated that the water line located along Flat Rock Road is sufficient to accommodate a fire hydrant. Therefore, we found no reasons to justify or reasons that it would meet the variance criteria, because that pressure is there and located in front of the site. Staff recommends denial of the variance and finds that the conditional use recommends approval for that it meets the criteria, if I got it backwards. That concludes our presentation.
We have someone from Bradley Plumbing.
It's clear as mud.
My name is Terry Bauer. I'm the office manager for Bradley Plumbing.
Do you have any other information you want to share on this request?
I think she covered it pretty well. I mean, we won't have any overnight vehicles. It's mostly just a place to keep our stuff. I'm going to be there during the day just answering phones. And do you have any questions for me?
Linda?
Question, is there going to be any outside storage, pipe, yard, or anything like that?
No, everything will be contained within the structure.
Within the structure?
Any other questions? You currently do not have an office, is that right? This is
Well, we lease a space.
Pardon?
We lease a space.
Okay, where is that?
Currently, we are, you know where Chef Wang's is? Directly behind
Yes.
Chef Wang's. There's
Okay.
a little property owned by Charlie Fair that we lease the office there.
Right. And you're thinking about expanding this, but you're not absolutely sure that you would, is that right, in the future?
The additional structure, I think that is a desire based, you know, on to see how, you know, we'll see how things go, but that is a possibility, yes.
Okay. All right, and you have two requests before us on this.
I'm sorry?
Two different requests that you're asking us to look at.
Well, the conditional use, right, and then the variance for the fire hydrant.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I want to make sure you understand just what he just brought up.
Yeah, because I'm not sure I do.
One is for your conditional use for your business, but you realize that for you to be able to put another structure, to expand that structure, that you would be required to put in a fire hydrant. And all indications from our staff is that CUD says it will support a fire hydrant, so, but you would have to put that in at your expense. I don't know if you understand. That's what we're trying to make sure you understand.
I understand.
Great. Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the conditional use.
Okay, we have a motion that the conditional use be approved.
I'll
Do we have a second? Got a second?
I need to add in no outside storage. I want that to be clear on the approval.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Who was the second?
Jerry.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell. Yes. Linda Dansby,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that portion is approved. Keith? Okay. We have a request on the fire hydrant. Need to deal with that.
I'll make a motion that be denied.
Okay.
Oh, is that the
Based
correct-
upon the information that we have, that they could put a fire hydrant in there.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a second. Got a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell. Yes. Linda Dansby,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. The next item we have is a request by Ashley Johnson and Jason Loftus, who is requesting a conditional use permit to allow an establishment of a non-commercial storage facility. What do you have on that?
Okay, application 2010-17, filed by Ashley Johnson and Jason Loftus, involves the property located at 7200 Buckeye Bottom Road. It is a 2-acre site, and the site is zoned residential 15. They are seeking conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility in the R15 zone, along with variance requests for relief from the 5-acre minimum requirement and relief from the 1,800 square feet maximum square footage limitation for accessory structures. The applicant has constructed this building. In fact, this particular building was considered last year in application 2009-22 by the Board of Zoning Appeals for accessory structure prior to the principal. However, the site, it was never intended that the site would have a residential structure on it because it had no soils on the property that would accommodate a residential structure. The applicant, that particular request in 2009 was denied by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the applicant has tried to work with building codes to remedy the non-compliant status of the property. He has attempted to locate soils on this property and other properties in that immediate vicinity and was unable to find any. During this time, over the course of the year, the Board of County Commissioners approved a new provision for our Rutherford County zoning resolution that would allow a person who met certain criteria to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals and ask for a conditional use for a non-commercial storage facility for the use, private use of a landowner. The criteria that was supplied for that particular use included a minimum land area requirement of 5 acres, and it also included size limitations, which in that section 1304, which it refers to, it establishes a 2,500 square foot maximum size. Well, the applicant is seeking approval for this use, however, cannot meet 2 of those conditions that are associated with this type of use, so therefore he is seeking variance approval for those. The particular use, this area is somewhat rural in nature. The building meets the front, side, and rear yard setbacks for other uses located in the R15 zone and meets the lot coverage requirements. However, the size of the building, it measures 44 by 75 and comes out to be about 3,300 square feet. This exceeds the maximum even for a 5-acre parcel by 800 square feet. But because the property is only 2 acres in size, and that size limitation refers to our table for accessory structures that varies for parcel sizes, he's only allowed 1,800 square feet. So his variance request is for a total of 1,500 square feet above what he would be permitted for a 2-acre site. Also, in regards to the site's compatibility, the 5 acres, when the board was considering this particular use, was determined to be acceptable for a private non-commercial storage facility that could not be developed as a residential property. This particular use would only be permitted in residential areas for those sites that had no soils. Well, the applicant has demonstrated that he does not have soils, however, he falls well below the 5-acre minimum. So he's seeking variance approval for that. However, in the applicant's application and the letter that accompanied the application that was supplied to you, indicated that the site was purchased well before this provision was in place, and the building was constructed without a permit. And staff finds that the proposed request does not meet the criteria for this particular use, as stated in Article 7, Section 7.02B and 7.03, authorized special uses and additional standards for non-commercial storage facility, workshop, or other structure for the private use of the landowner, subsections D and E, which are the minimum land area requirements and the maximum size requirements. And staff recommends denial. And this is photos of the surrounding area. This is the subject building. This is its location on the site. It's a triangular shaped site. So it meets the, and I also have additional photos that if you'd like to go through those, we'll be glad to flip through those whenever he presents his. So that concludes our presentation.
Okay, do we have someone here representing this request? We'll come around, please. Give us your name and any additional
Yeah,
information.
my name is Jason Loftus, and this is my co-owner of the property.
I'm Ashley Johnson.
That pretty much covers the bases we have gone through our extreme, from soil sites, purchasing more land to exceed the 5-acre minimum for this property. And soil site-wise, all soils surrounding that property, there are no soil sites available. There's an adjoining acreage tract behind it. There's no soils on that also. And I've not been able to purchase that adjoining tract back there to exceed the 5-acre minimum on that. Everything else, I believe, has been covered by Danielle.
What do you plan on doing with this storage area?
The building was built for the purpose of storing antique cars. My buddy and I have quite a few antique cars. That was the purpose of storing the cars there in that building. That's always been the intent of that, for that structure. Outside of anything else, there's never been any intent for anything but that. And we built the building off a horse barn design. A friend of mine has a horse barn, exactly the same structure as this was. It was built like a pole barn structure, except with the elevation, we weren't able to get enough height out of 6x6 posts to do so because of the elevation lot, so it is stick framed out of 2x6s with aluminum tin siding on the outside and roof.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Office, I remember this application vaguely. I believe when it came up before us and we denied it first time.
Correct.
I believe you built the building from all our staff's indications without a permit.
That's correct.
I think we had indicated that what your intent was, and you had said you wanted to build one based on agriculture because there's going to be a horse barn. Your child had a horse or a pony was going to run around out there. But what we wound up was with a commercial steel building that's built on a concrete slab.
Well, it is on a concrete slab, and commercial, I guess you could define commercial. It is built like a pole barn. If you've been inside the building, you could see that it was. And as the letters you got there in front of you explains the reason why I built the property without a permit. It's a misunderstanding, and I should have been a little bit more explaining or both sides of that there, and I would have had a permit prior to this.
Right.
And we wouldn't be here today.
Right. Well, let me ask you, and I want to make sure, and I think I did at the time. If I could, what do you do for a living?
I do sell real estate.
Okay, you sell real estate.
Yes,
so you're a
sir.
licensed real estate agent.
That is correct.
Okay.
I believe you asked that the last time.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
If you were able to purchase the additional land, did you plan on building there?
Well, I can tell you, as far I've talked with Folly about this property. I've spoke to everybody in the county about this property. You pretty much cannot build another residential on just about any property up and down through there. It's nothing but rock. There's no suitable soils.
Mm-hmm. Most
of the home sites there do not have permitted septic systems. They've all been grandfathered in. I've spoke with Folly many different times about this. I've gone many different avenues all the way through the state. David suggested on possibly putting an apartment in the building where it would help relieve all this variance issues here. And so I went that avenue, spent many months doing that. Folly thought it could do a self-contained pumping hall system, so we had to go through the process to do that. When it got to the state said we no longer do that on new structures, only on existing structure when the septic system fails. And if sewer is going to be coming soon, it's not quite there, and they'll go ahead and do it on a new structure that. So yeah, I've done every avenue from soil site to put an apartment in the building that I possibly could.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just got a question for staff. Danielle, have y'all received any calls or any complaints about this application during this whole process?
We received one phone call, yes.
Okay. Since this last
Yes.
incident? Okay. Not including the first time this application first came?
No, since the new application has been submitted this year and we have begun processing this application, we have received a phone call regarding this.
Thank you.
Joe?
I got a question. This is 2 acres with no soil site, right?
That's correct.
Are you allowed to build a building of any sort on a 2-acre plot with no way of septic?
Under the current regulations, the way we have them now, not really, no, sir.
You're not allowed to build, period, right?
That's correct, based on the regulations, the way they're written.
Any other questions? We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. If you'll come around, give us your name and whatever you need to say.
My name is Sheila Welch. I live on Buckeye Bottom Road, and this picture of this building is my neighbor. I introduced myself the exact same way last year on April the 8th when you first heard this. Nothing's changed. Things have tried to change, and I don't object to that. But nothing has changed. It's the exact same illegal building today as it was last year. He only has 2 acres. He can't stretch it. It is a rock. Whether he tried to buy the property in the back and make all these changes or stuff, I have a lot of paperwork, and Mr. Jones is quite aware of it because he's had to go through this daily. He didn't get them. He has only 2 acres. Plus, last year, he had a couple opportunities to tell you the truth of the size of the building. And I personally feel that that was evaded for a purpose. On his application of March the 11th, there is a paragraph at the bottom that says blah, 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 the size of the building. He didn't put it on there. Then we came to the meeting, and he said that his building, and I reviewed these minutes yesterday at the library, he said his building met the 1,800 square feet requirement. It sure does. Then I spoke, gave you some facts. You all asked him to come back up, and then someone asked him, what is the size of your building? A very important question, I think, but he didn't know the answer. He did not know the size of his building. Therefore, you didn't get an answer. This year, April the 11th or something like that, he applied again, only this time, forget your rules, forget your regulations, and let him have his building. That's the way I look at it. When you've got 2 acres and you need 5, when you have a maximum of 1,800 square feet and you've got 3,300 square feet, you have tipped over the bucket, in my opinion. Guess what? On this application, you don't have a size either. Did he come forth and really lay the cards on the table for you this year in order for you to be considerate? It's not on there. He wrote it on there after I got a copy from Mr. Jones' office. So let me clarify that I think, if I understood correctly, that he did come in after and hand wrote the size. Hooray. You've got it. I'm here to ask you, please, please don't let this man break the rules and regulations of this county just because he made a whopper of a mistake. If we made a whopper of a mistake, what would we have to do? We'd have to fix it. He has not been able to fix it. If you deny his request today, guess what? He's still going to pass by you. He passed by you last year when you denied it, and he's tried everything under the sun to change it. And if you deny it today, he goes before a judge tomorrow. He's not through fighting for his illegal building. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be in court tomorrow. I intend or hope to be able to tell the judge, just like I've told you, the truth and the facts. If, for some strange reason, this building gets okayed by a judge, I don't know what you all legally can do, but I know what I can do, and I intend to do it. Please don't let this man walk all over the residents of Rutherford County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak on this request? We'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on it.
I'd like to make a motion to Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny it based on it fails to meet the standards of the general ability based in Article 7, Section 7.02B and 7.03, authorize special uses and additional standards, non-commercial storage facility, workshop, or other structures for the private use of the landowner in subsections D and E of the Rutherford County zoning resolution.
We have a motion that being denied. Do we have a second? Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell. Yes. Linda Dansby,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
it is denied. Do we have anything else before us? Doug, did you have anything?
I just wanted to make just a brief comment. We were talking about signage a little earlier in regards to the Dollar General. I just want you to know that staff, part of our work program for this year was to complete some amendments to the sign regulations. We have completed a draft. If you'd like to view a draft, it is on our website. You can go ahead and download a copy and take a look at that. We're going to be having a work session at our next Planning Commission meeting, which I believe is the 24th, if I remember the date correctly. It's Monday at 9 a.m. over in our mezzanine meeting room. So again, if you have comments or if you look at something and you want to ask some questions, just feel free to give staff a call. We're all pretty familiar with it. It was truly a whole staff effort. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? We are adjourned.